Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about timers, and I'm going to start by thinking about the idea about millis. In this middle of the screen, we are calling the millis method and kind of printing it out as a text object. Basically, millis is a way of keeping track of the number of seconds, number of milliseconds since the beginning of your program starting. There's a method that we can call, we'll get into the code of how to do it, that will pull out an integer value that kind of represents these thousands of seconds. So what we're going to do with our, and that's kind of running the background all the time, we don't really need to like create that at all, we can just use that tool already to add timers into our games. So let's talk a little bit about the theory and then we'll get into the code of doing it. Although actually before we do that, we'll do a quick demonstration. So in this case, I want a circle to appear as soon as I press the space bar. I want the circle to appear and then disappear after 2 seconds. So it's like an example of how we might use a timer. So if I hit space, get the circle to appear, 1, 2, it's going to disappear. So that's what we're going to try and code out in our, both go through the logic a little bit and then we'll get into the actual code of it. Okay, so in the code, we can think about this in terms of kind of like, we want to think through, like we have this time running along here, and we have millis, and we want to keep track. So we can call the method millis to figure out kind of what time it is. This is my little timeline here. And basically what I want to do is like whenever I click, I want to capture the time at a certain point using millis. So I want to say something like my start time is going to be equal to millis. So I'm going to have some variable called start time, and I might say something like when clicked, I want to do this something. So when I press the mouse button or do something, I'm going to capture what the start time is. And then inside my draw loop, I'm basically just going to be checking all the time to see if my start time plus some delay, if that value is greater than the current millis. If that's true, we're going to we'll draw our circle. So if we think about what's going to happen here, oh, and to begin with, we're going to say our variable start time is going to be something very negative. It's going to be like, we could make it negative 10,000 or something. And then our delay is going to be how long we want it to run. So let's say we want it to run for 2 seconds. That's going to be 2,000 milliseconds. And so when we run our code to begin with, if we have negative 10,000 here, millis is going to start at 0, and it's going to increase. If we look at the very beginning of our program, we're going to have negative 10,000 here, and then we're going to have 2,000 here. So in sum, it's going to be negative 8,000. Negative 8,000 is not greater than millis, right? Because millis is going to, at least at the very minimum, it's going to be 0. So to begin with, we won't draw our circle. However, whenever I hit space or click or do whatever, I'm going to update this to be the current time. So say when I say millis is like, say it's 2,000. We're 2,000 seconds in, we press spacebar or whatever. Now suddenly start time is going to be 2,000. Current millis time is 2,000. Oh, and delay is also in this case 2,000. So what that means is this thing is true momentarily. 4,000 is greater than 2,000, so we'll draw our circle. But start time is going to be stuck at 2,000. Delay is stuck at 2,000. Millis will continue to increase by 1,000 every 1 second. So after 2 seconds, this value will be 4,000, and this thing will no longer be true. 2,000 plus 2,000 will no longer be greater than 4,000, so we'll no longer draw our circle. So that's kind of what we're going to get at in our code. So let's get over to the coding side, and we'll go through how to actually code this out. Okay, so we'll start with just some really basic code. All we have right now is we're drawing a background, we're doing a fill with some circles, and we'll have to update this a little bit. So like I said, I'm going to start with a variable called start time. It's going to be equal to something, we'll say it's equal to negative 10,000. We're also going to have our delay. How long do we want it to? Or maybe delay is a bad word. Maybe we could say runtime. It kind of depends on what you're trying to get. For what I was saying, a runtime makes more sense. And then what we want to do down here inside of our draw is we want to constantly check to see if start time, let's say start time, right, plus delay, if those two values are greater than the current millis. So millis is, oh, I didn't say delay, right? I said runtime. I just made a point of saying that. If start time plus runtime is greater than millis, millis is the key tool that we are going to access in here. If those two things are true, then we will draw our circle. Down inside of key pressed in here, we're going to say if our key is equal to spacebar, then we're going to say start time, update start time to be equal to millis. Okay, so now if we run this in our code, we should see nothing happening, nothing happening. If I hit space, 1, 2, disappear. So that's just a very basic version of doing this. There are a lot of different things you could do to have things like appear, disappear. I could do maybe like, maybe I could have it do like a random, maybe, how about I do that? I could do something weird. I could say something, oh, I had my circle just appear in the center. What if I did circle X, circle Y? Let's see. And then, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things I could do in here. You can shut this off if you are done listening. We can say it's like going to be 400, how about 800, float, circle, Y. Let's have we do some randomization in here. Randomization is always a good idea. We could say something like, that'd be a little bit too tricky, but we could do something. We could just kind of make it like generate a random location during this time after start time. Actually, I won't go into the actual code of that. But we could do something like, yeah, if maybe we make our delay really small. How we could make our runtime to be like, say, 100. We could say something like if start time plus, what did I call it? Still call it runtime. Runtime is greater than millis. Then we could do something like fill random 255, random 255, random 255. Yeah, that should be good. And then when we press that, yeah, I think that should work. We press that. It's going to do just sit there. Normally we hit space, and it's going to flip through colors really quickly. It's only happening for a tenth of a second. So it's quickly cycling through a couple different colors. But anyways, there's a lot of fun stuff you can do in there. That might be a place to get started. So hopefully that is a help for you.